Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Sweet Lily Love titled Trippin. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the track on the screen on Music B, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish. I'm going to hear what we think. We're also going to be grading the track on various musical criteria that we'll talk about more at the end for an overall score, but yeah, let's go, let's do it, Trippin. I love the layering and the width to it. Interesting trade-off with the build with the snares. Great use of automation. I think things are pretty well balanced. It's just a little bit of high on the vocals. Great to have a reiteration of that on the guitar lead though, the vocal melodies. Okay, I feel like this is really well balanced. I like the vast majority of it. We're going to have a look at the lyrics in a moment and then talk about the track more in the conclusion. So we got the lyrics for Trippin' here by Sweet Lily Love. I don't even know if I still like you. I don't even know if I still like me. Maybe I'm tripping, had a little too much acid. Oh, right, I get it. I understand what's happening here. Better do right, better do better. Better do right, better do better. Okay, so basically we've been doing a little too much drugs, a little too many drugs, and we're kind of looking at our relationship and our feelings are getting quite intense, and we're really sort of questioning whether we have that bond together. I don't know if you and me are even meant to be. Should we just leave it here, right here? Should the way we're both going now? We would be both be better off by this time next year. Okay, I get it. It's clearly not a particularly happy song, but we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Sweet to Lily Love, titled Trippin. I think I gave this track an overall score of 7.9 out of 10. I think the vast majority of this track is really well done. What do I think it's about? It's a song where we have someone really questioning whether their relationship is going to work out, whether it's worth continuing. You know, whether they are better off to sort of break apart, or whether they'll be better off this time next year, or whether they will both be able to sort of figure things out and make it work. And I think that intrinsically it's a kind of a beautiful thing, because it's showing a bit of vulnerability, fragility, and awareness that, you know, both people need to do better. But I think it's also, like, the chord progressions are quite happy and upbeat. And we start with a minorish one, and we've got a song which is quite upbeat, and it's in your face, and it's charismatic, and it's trying to be sort of like entertaining and pick you up and pumping. And I think that it works well. It's just that this track almost sounds a bit more tense than anything else, because of the fact that we've got that subject matter. It's almost like it's saying, hey, you know, we really need to figure this out, or we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I think that like the energy of the track kind of infers something a little bit different than like I would have necessarily expected from like someone tripping, or like, but then also I think for the style of music that you got to keep things moving, right? So it makes sense. And if we want to make a track like this, put a story like that, it's totally fine. I'm not saying that whenever you smoke weed or do acid, it has to be like a low key, low energy event. It's just that, like, yeah, it's just the vocals were well sung, and we showed solid vocals in a comfortable and hidden chest voice. I've got no complaints about the vocal runs we had there. I think we danced across the arrangement there, and we always had a relative sense of presence within it. I feel like there was just a little bit going on, a little bit too much high end in it, like to the point where there might have been some occasional sibilance and stuff like that. And it could also just be these headphones, which can sort of emphasize those frequencies a little bit. It's just me being transparent, but that's more of a post-production thing anyways. And it's tricky because I feel like a lot of the body was in that mid and high range anyways. I think that, again, you're wanting to have bass there, so you're allowing for that, for like a cut in the low frequencies of the vocals, especially a lady singer's typically not going to have a massive amount of like low-end frequency resonance with their voice, but unless they're like going into bass octaves. But it's just like the way that we sung was solid. I think that we sung like we cared about what we were singing about, as well as like emoted appropriately for the track's content. And I think it was a passionate performance that, you know, harmonized really neatly with the rest of the elements within the arrangement, and was overall very, very, very good. I think the track at 3 minutes 39 was really well fleshed out. We had a whole lot of interesting builds and drops and rises and moments of peace, and we had some instruments introduce themselves and others kind of culminate and come together. We had a guitar solo in there as well, which was really cool. There was a lot moving though. We never sat on one section for too long, and I think the transitions were seamless, whether we're going down in our sort of lower end of the intensity, like in regards to dynamic range, you're building ourselves all the way up for that, because we had like a build, and then we kind of had a fake out build after that, where like there was a snare kind of building up, and like we had rises and everything involved there. So that was just a really clever way to start things off, you know, having that build thinking you're going to drop in the note, we're going higher than that. It was neat. I think the drums sounded great within this here. We had a great command of different quarters, 8th and 16th note patterns there. The chord note accents made sense for a track like this, got you moving, especially at the tempo. Ultimately, it was more of the bass emphasis on this. I think the snares were great for riser purposes. The bass lines within this niched really well with what was going on within the mid-range chord progressions there. They had a great body to them, and they were nicely side-chained, but also just, filled up the frequency spectrum well. And they weren't there all the time. We allowed things to float a little bit without it, and it was nice to have that A and B side to it. We also had keys, which typically played triads, and they were a nice sort of glittery side. Usually it was the right hand of the keys to play those chords on the right side, and they were very bright and they sparkled in the mix, which was nice. I think there was some really sort of frenetic, sort of like feisty lead synths there that made sense for this kind of like hardcore genre. And again, that kind of the chaotic nature to it. It also was a pretty melody though. So it was energetic and like intense, but it was also sounding gorgeous and did again resonate or harmonize really neatly with the keys there. We also had some pads there, some occasional rises that I mentioned before. And we had a guitar solo as well, which was really well phrased. I liked the way it was played. I think it was smart to have it emphasize certain parts of the main vocal melodies within the track and like those hook lines. And that kind of brought it together, and they linked together really well. And I think that's kind of what you need in a solo section, is to allow the person like listening to appreciate, oh, I get why the guitar solo connects to the track here. It's an alternate lead voice, a different sound there. But again, it was just a great way to split up a track even this short with a different ingredient there, just to sort of spice things up. And there were also sub drops. There were sub drops, especially at the start of different sections there, when there was like a moment of respite. And there was a really interesting sort of synth sequencer at the start that with the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then that went around the stereo field as well. There are all these little interesting trinkets scattered around this piece there. Not all the time, but there were lots of different angles to the synth elements that were put in place here. And I don't think anything was ever too extra here. It all blended really neatly together, and it was exciting because of the dynamic range and the builds and shifts and like the risers, how things came up and down and stuff. But that ever been too much. The theme overall, as I mentioned, like, I don't know if it necessarily completely correlated to what I thought would be necessarily appropriate. Like, how do I describe it? I like the fact we're approaching, I like that, like this, especially Sweet Little Love makes music like this really well. If I heard the lyrics, I wouldn't have imagined that the track or music behind it would be like this, but I appreciate we're trying to do something different here, and I think it kind of makes this more serious subject matter a bit more catchy sounding. We have a lot of really pleasing chord progressions in here. They're more sort of like popular ones that are made more intriguing by the interesting textures, the speed of it, the beautiful sounds within it, and just the polish in regards to the transfers between elements and never staying on one idea for too long. But the studio recording, mixing, and mastering is really neat. I like the way the vocals were leveled with the guitars, the bass, the synth pads, the sequences, the leads, etc., the bass drops, the risers. They're all done really neatly, and things are nicely sort of like leveled within a free spectrum without any resonant frequencies apart from a bit too much high end on the vocals there. Music surrounded you in the headphones, nice and loud without pumping, so bus compression limiting was handled, and I feel like there was sufficient dynamic range within this. But that's my review of this track from an act named Sweet Little Love, titled Trippin. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias, and this will be on all digital streaming platforms, which stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as he help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.